Breathful day, everyone. Breathful day, breathful day. What are you breathing life into? Breathing life into progression? Or are you breathing life into the complete opposite? All up to you. Everyone has a choice. We are creating ripples. What do I mean by that? If you know anything about Elemental Symphony, if you saw the documentary, I really want you to check out this article. Well, oh, okay. So classical symphonies are doing synchronized experiments where everyone will have their heart rate monitored, like their breathing rate monitored, everything, and the electrical aspects of themselves also monitored to synchronize with the music and the whole experience. What does that sound like to you? Sounds like Elemental Symphony. Literally what it sounds like. So movement and some physical responses, including heart rate, breathing rate, and the electrical conductivity of skin, suggesting excitement, may synchronize between audience members at classical concerts, suggests a study of 132 people published in scientific reports. Individuals rated more highly for personality traits such as agreeableness or openness were more likely to synchronize with other audience members. So during our breathing events, I've noticed that when everyone is breathing at their own rate, doesn't matter, at some point everyone will synchronize, and it's the most beautiful experience I can't really even put into words. You just have to experience it yourselves, honestly. And let me give you, I never even posted this. I'll post this probably later. But I want to share with you what goes on in an Elemental Symphony that I didn't really get to share last time. There you go. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. If not, let me know if I'm talking in complete silence. But here you can see everyone has a scalar projector. And one by one, I had one person go in the middle. We have, and they're hitting the gong. And we also have Ari, the violinist. I just want to give a shout out to everyone, including Gerald. Shout out to Based on the Plans, who did some movement for us last event. And yeah, we can hear. All right, cool. Yeah, and when we're doing this, we're not even creating, we're just synchronizing, if you will. Because remember, like I said, you're not creating plasma. You're creating an environment where the plasma is more dense. We can see it. We can even feel more of it. That's what's happening. That is what the coils are doing. That's why I call it scalar projector. And also the stickers on the scalar projector harmonizes with the same scalar frequencies that I shipped all around the world. So all around the world, everyone has a home version scalar. It has a sticker on there, and it acts as an antenna. That's why you can do your own studies. If you get one of the stickers, is put a fruit on top of it and have another fruit side by side, and you'll see the fruit that's not on top of the scalar sticker will start to rot a lot faster. Why is that? Because there's more harmonious frequencies. It's creating more of a harmonious environment into that fruit or wherever that essence is being projected. And that's why I tell people you can put on your phone, you can put it on your routers, you can put it on the walls, the corners of your home, and you'll feel a total difference beyond placebo. I dare you, if you own any of the stickers, to go into a random family member's home and stick it in every corner and tell me how they feel without them even knowing. And I've had some testimonials on that in the past. Some of you have seen that already. And instead of watching, be part of it. Be part of it. I was really flabbergasted. Shout out Victoria Levelmind for sharing that article with me, because we are literally creating ripples here. That's what's happening. And the next event might be the last event in Miami, because I might be pulled out of the country. We'll see. And I might go around in Europe and do a whole Europe tour soon. But this one might be the last one in Miami. October 22nd, that's the next event. And then next year, we're going to see if we can bring it to Jamaica and create a retreat vibe out there. I have them on my car for the last 3 months and already feel the difference. Shout out Todd. Yeah, some of you have gotten stickers and you feel the difference, and then you get the projector and you're like, okay, here we go. So that, this is what's happening. You're creating more of a plasmic environment, and there's so many benefits of just inhaling plasma. So that's why I always encourage you all to do the breath work with the projectors. It goes in unison. Every other hour, I'm here blasting myself, inhaling it, and I'm already feeling the difference in a span of it's been over a year now. Huge difference in my rest quality and my meditations and how I perceive people's aura and how I protect myself in that regard, and the type of opportunities I'm also attracting energetically, beyond outside of finances and all that stuff. Just quality of people I'm noticing without even doing much, and beyond the real world, beyond outside of social media, all that, the quality of experiences that I'm being part of, it's such a huge blessing. Projectors on the way. I'm so excited. Yeah, right now some of you should be receiving some tracking info, because we got my team shipping them out today. Some today, a lot today. Greetings. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If you haven't seen the documentary Elemental Symphony with Scalar and Breath, definitely go check it out on my YouTube. We also had Toby from Neuroflex come over as well, and he had a whole EEG system doing a whole brain mapping of what happens when you're in this type of environment. Your whole brain literally goes back into the most powerful, balanced state of being you could possibly have in your brain mapping, which is wow. Everything was just a clear slate, like you were reborn, coming out the womb for the first time. So definitely go check out that documentary, and shout out Old World Florida for being one of the documenters. He's coming out with his own documentary. He was the most recent one that came over and filmed everything. So I can't wait to see what he's going to be producing in that regard. And he's also going to mix in what we experienced at the Electric Museum up north, where we got to see the real side of Nikola Tesla, if you will, and the not so nice parts of Nikola Tesla that was very, you could say, disappointing. But you should never have expectations of anyone, right? Never. Yeah, the website is alchemybreath.org. But beyond that, education-wise, definitely check out the Breathful newsletter. I'm always pumping out info in that regard as well, beyond just products. Thank you for the badge, love. Really appreciate it. I got a lot of meetings today for the past, week since we've been back in Miami. So apologies if we haven't been doing some cardiac breathing. We'll get back into it. I'll find time. It's just that I have my own clients as well on top of that, and giving back to you guys, I gotta make time. So bear with me. And the next cardiac breathing that we'll do, I'll even bring the projector and we'll do it over the screen, and some of you will feel what you'll feel, because even the plasma itself, the sound of the plasma, know if you guys can. I don't think you can probably, because I'm hooked up to the, yeah, the phone is hooked up. But the sound of plasma itself, oof, when everyone is blasting it on themselves, by the way, because we have a time where we blast it on ourselves. Everyone has their own space, they're going at their own rate in terms of the breathing. And when they're doing that, it literally sounds like you're in a rainforest, and the rain, you just get not lost, but you just go so deep into the plasmic sound, it just takes you somewhere. Yeah, it takes you in your own infinite journey, if you will, because that is just pure plasmic resonance. A quick fact about plasma: when you're blasting it on your skin, when you're inhaling it, it produces more nitric oxide. The base of what produces nitric oxide, what does that tell you? I mean, even being out in the sun for a period of time increases your nitric oxide, right? So this is also a powerful tool that is telling us, yes, it is natural. The plasma energy is a natural phenomenon that we should never take for granted. Should never take for granted. Again, we're not creating plasma, we're creating an environment where the plasmic energy is more dense and we can access it. And what we're seeing here, when you're seeing that plasma arc go out, at the basis of life is literally, that's the web that connects everything, even in space. That's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing the fabric of existence. That's why when you're blasting it on yourself, that's why it increases stem cells. Boom, there you go. If you ask me, hey, what kind of supplements you take being 5 years on liquids, etc.? Plasma. That's my supplement. Plasma is my quote-unquote supplement. That is the most powerful supplement you could take on the body immediately. That is a natural phenomenon because it is a fourth state of matter. What's more natural than that? And the fact that it helps produce more stem cells, help produce more nitric oxide, increases the cells in your body that's responsible for reducing inflammation and also responsible for reducing tumors in the body, if you will. The fact that it does that naturally, what does that tell you? It is amplifying what the body does naturally. Keyword: amplifying what the body does naturally, without any chemicals, without any quote-unquote protein powders, etc. That's what it's doing, naturally. Hey, Layton Farms, again, thank you for that. How does inhaling plasma with the tensor copper add benefit? It makes it more bioavailable. That's what it does in terms of blasting the tensor. Because here's the issue with copper. If you're drinking it from a cup, you should only be drinking it not that often from a copper cup, because you then produce more toxicity, especially the liver, when you have too much copper. So the beautiful part about it, in terms of the tensor dilator, is you're inhaling the copper ions, making it more bioavailable because you're adding the nitric oxide aspect. Okay. A lot of people also need to realize, if you're still eating, etc., there's a lot of copper in your food already. The difference with the tensor dilator is the geometry is twisted a certain way, where it's more ionizing versus just a copper in your mouth, that if you were to put the tensor dilator on the GDV imaging, you'll still see the electrons go through. But If you put regular copper, sure, you'll have bits and bits there, but it's not structured in a certain way. So it's just like drinking structured water. There you go. There's a difference. And this is why the tensor dilator doesn't give copper poisoning versus other copper products out there, or tensor rings in general, in my opinion. Because tensor rings, it is literally structured, versus any other copper or whatever, it's not structured. So when you have something that's not structured, that's not in harmony with the structure of your DNA in terms of twisted copper, the diameters, doesn't matter what type of tensor measurement it is, as long as it's twisted, it's structured. Just like your DNA, the helix. By the way, the helix actually doesn't look as the 3D imaging makes it look out to be, but the basis of life is that spiral, that twist, that dielectric aspect of the yin, the yang, yin and yang. There is no such thing again as a yang. There is both. They're just like twins. They go hand in hand. Oh, thank you. I was very intrigued and inspired by your live the other day in regards about plasma and microplastics. That I was gonna do a response to some people may know this guy Godis because he did a video on me or whatever. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you eat, no matter if it's raw, etc. You most likely still have microplastics in there. And this is where I break all those egos to the side, because this is the reality that we live in, where microplastics is the reality, unfortunately. Doesn't matter how raw you eat, there is still microplastics in your food. It's in your food. And one of the ways to combat that in general is plasma. Plasma. It just makes sense where once upon a time, because we're actually extraterrestrial, we're the aliens. How do I know? How do we know? Well, 80% of water on Earth is actually extraterrestrial. It's not from Earth. What does that tell you? And they say that we were formed in germs, except this and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, if that were true, you still would need water and certain molecules, etc. So, we're the aliens. Congratulations. We're the real aliens here. Again, going back to the plasma atmosphere in ancient times, it makes also sense because plasma increases reactive oxygen species, which we are. We use oxygen, right? So if you want to play the game saying that we came from little microbiomes, etc., little microbials, organisms, etc., and then we evolved, if you even want to play that game, you still need oxygen. You still need oxygen. And what could be so powerful, if you will, to create such an environment where it just keeps on evolving? The plasmic atmosphere. What could make the atmosphere so powerful? We once had a society filled with giants. The atmosphere, plasma. You're inhaling that. Your bones will be bigger naturally. And there's also an epidemic where, a lot of people are saying testosterone this is going down low. Here's the thing: if you work out too much, you're using testosterone in general. It's depleting. you're literally feeding off your body. People ask, how often do you work out? I work out in nature here and there, but in terms of basketball, I only play once a week. Only once a week. Only once a week. For that exact reason. You know, there's a reason why out of all the sports, basketball has a high rate of heart attacks. That before the whole jibby jabby stuff, it was basketball. I'm sorry. It's basketball, and also I think maybe soccer maybe comes second. But why is that? Another point of it is mouth breathing. That's also part of it. It can't be a coincidence that people who snore, sleep apnea, they have increase of heart attacks. Can't you know, common sense, bring the two together. Mouth breathing in sports, heart attack, etc. Boom. Going back to the reactive oxygen species, we are literally embodiments of air molecules, breath patterns. Sperm, what is sperm? Blood. What pumps 70% of the blood? Your breath. There's your connection. There's your simplified connection there. Makes me think of the scene from a movie called El Dorado. I've never seen El Dorado. Also, no truth to be found where the Mayans have gone. No aliens, just cosmic souls. I'm reading some of your comments. I vibe with that. But yeah, it's time to end all these diet wars and diet, etc. Because at the end of the day, it's electrons that's the real food. At the end of the day, electrons is what breaks down the food. You can say it's cells. No, the cells don't eat. The cells, you know, anything you put in your body is causing a quote-unquote chemical reaction. But then even the aspect of chemical reaction can be connected to the electrical, or I would say dielectric. The dielectric reaction in terms of insulating, projecting, insulating, projecting. We don't just project energy. Electrons don't just flow out. We're not electric. We're dielectric. Dielectric makes way more sense than us just being electric. That makes no sense whatsoever. Being electric makes no sense whatsoever. So anytime you hear someone saying, "Wait, we're electric this, or electric that," point them to that dielectric video. I'm going to do a part 2 again very soon. But you know, adding on to this whole conversation, the cells use electrons to break down many things in the body. The cells use electrons, keyword use, electrons to move, to maneuver. When you inhale, what are you doing? You're creating a kinetic force. Electrons, boom. Static electricity, boom. That's what's happening. That's what you're doing with the nose. Breath sounds dielectric to me. You have your inhale, you have your exhale. It's not just inhale, it's not just exhale. Dielectric. Boom. Insulating, projecting, inhaling, exhaling. There's your connection. There's your connecting pieces. It's not just one. There is no yin and a yang. There is both, yin yang. That's it. They're in unified synchronization. And that is, you know, going back to that article and my experiences with leading these beautiful events, is I don't have to tell anyone. I have everyone go at their own pace. And when you're in person, it feels so different. Everyone going at their own pace. They just synchronize automatically, like towards the end. Like the farther we go, the longer we go, everyone will just start synchronizing by themselves. It's so beautiful. It's so powerful. And it's the internal harmony, if you will, that starts to play. Yeah, that starts to play a part of the whole symphony. That's the power of coming together. That's the power of synchronizing with our breath patterns. Not necessarily breathing at the same time, but breathing at least have a focus of a particular breath pattern, and then the internal resonance will start to follow. Because the main focus is parasympathetic, especially in alchemy breathwork. That's what we focus on. Parasympathetic styles of breathing. And with the parasympathetic focus, parasympathetic equals what? Homeostasis, home. And when everyone is synchronized from their home spaces, then it starts to create an echo. And that echo starts to create its own frequency. That's the power of breath. Breath is a frequency. I just breathe out 5 pulses. At a subconscious level, there is no such thing as silence. Silence doesn't exist. They say silence is the absence of sound. Well, that can't be true to a certain degree, because everything is vibrating. Something may sound, you may go into spaces that sound completely silent, but no, it doesn't exist. They say breathe silently. Like, internally, your cells are communicating, hence you're communicating what? Via frequency. What? Isn't frequency a sound as well? Make it make sense. There's no such thing as breathing silently. When you go into the most quiet place in the world, I think one of the spots is Minnesota, where they put all these soundproof pads all around the wall. And when you go in there, you can start to hear your heartbeat. You can start to then also hear your blood. You can hear the sound of your blood. And many people can't last in there too long, because they'll be like, oh my God. But for me, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like heaven. That sounds like heaven. You can communicate with the depths of your blood. Like, come on. Well, you do that with your breath anyway, but you get my point. Man, I would love to make music just based off that. I already make music based off different breathing patterns, but if we can get the sound of blood, specifically the blood, man, I'd love to see what that does to the subconscious and the psyche, if we can measure that with neuroflex and subliminal breathwork music. And I'm really curious, because we did that with Jason. Go check out my YouTube, Jason Styles, where this man can create music using his brain. And I looked at his page recently. He kind of slowed down on it, but man, he should have kept on it. I don't care, because in my opinion, even till today, he's somewhat still ahead of his time. For you to create music based off the neurons popping off in your head and then creating different tones, etc., he was already living in 2023. So I'm like, that's a man that gets it. He gets it. He gets the human body is a musical instrument. He gets it. And I was so honored. He was actually the first person to say yes to measuring different styles of breathing, especially at a time where it was still considered woo-woo or whatever, but now we're in the information age where people are really catching up, which is a beautiful thing, but still we're somewhat behind. So I was really just flabbergasted at the same time. I'm like, what? I said yes. And Go look on the studies and the whole thing. You can see the whole brain mapping there. When you're listening to subliminal breathwork music, you are influencing theta at an all-time high just by listening to it. Because that style of breathing is parasympathetic. It's home, homeostasis. It's where the subconscious resides at a amplified amplitude level of circuitry, if you will. Because if you can learn, and the same rules apply when you wake up, whenever you wake up from your rest or whatever, from a very long rest, you have about 10 minutes of where the theta brainwave is at a really high point where you can program it with harmonious ways of thinking. I like to program it via my skin and doing organ breathing on my skin, because that way when I go outside in the world and the air is hitting me, you know, it's hitting parts of my subconscious. And we go over that in mental breathwork. So if you haven't checked out the mental breathwork journey, definitely check it out. But I also want to hit on this as well. A lot of containers that were thought to be safe are not really safe. Again, PFAs. There's a reason why blasting out forever chemicals is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Because again, the information age is catching up. People, it's not about living longer, it's about improving the quality of life, right? And people want that in general. Improving the quality of life doesn't include PFAs in your food, in your drinks, whatever. Because when PFAs, microplastics are in your body, you're creating imbalances. You may be the healthiest person in the world, but the microplastics low-key is getting in your bloodstream. And then randomly when you're sick, and you're like, oh, I eat super clean, I do this super clean, this and that. It doesn't add up, right? When you start to question, what am I doing wrong? You're looking at the clothes that you wear. Are they polyester? Are they made from plastic? If it's not linen, if it's not cotton, why are you wearing plastics? They connect. Everything connects to a certain degree. Now that we look at fashion, is it healthy fashion? Is it fashion that really cares about your well-being? Or is it fashion just for aesthetics? That's what also pushed me to make the crystal lenses too, because with the crystal lenses, I'm not wearing just glass, I'm not wearing something just to be stylish. It has functionality. It blocks out blue light. It emits infrared. Color therapy. I can go on and on and on. I think functionality is such a great focus of what we bring into the world, what we focus, what we co-create. We're in plastic, then they burn the unsold clothes. Yeah, that's another thing. When you're in the sun and you're wearing that, that's like seeping so deep into your bloodstream. You know, it's not just the sunscreen that's doing the damage here. It's also the clothes that you wear, that the sun is creating the heat, then creating the friction, and the friction is going in the cells, creating more imbalances. What you're wearing. Because at the end of the day, the skin eats. Hello? There you go. You know, when you're wearing certain material as well, you have to be very conscious of how your skin is reacting. Why am I itchy this way? Why am I itchy like here? Why am I scratching? Why am I itching? Is it parasites I have? Damn, I just did a 13, 30-day, 40-day cleanse, etc., this and that. Man, down to the clothes that you wear can create imbalances in your body. Down to the very clothes you wear could be harming you in a most detrimental way. All right, so get into the plasma revolution. That's one. Learn more about plasma. And the more you learn about plasma in general, I guarantee you, you'll also consume less in general. Over a 1-year period, you will naturally consume less. Why? Well, plasma increases whatever nutrient or whatever lifestyle diet you think is the best. It increases the quality and the nutrient density and also the bioavailability of whatever you're consuming into the body. That's another one. 2, stem cells, increasing the stem cells in the body naturally as well, creating that environment, strengthening that environment. And there's certain parts of your body, when you're blasting the projector, you start to notice, oh, I'm very sensitive. But over time, you start to realize, oh, I can blast here for 5 minutes now. I don't have to, it's not as sensitive. Why? That could be trauma that you've been holding on. That could be, listen, we all have weak points in our body. One, that's another one. And yeah, that shows you that we store trauma in our muscular way of being. We store trauma in our breath patterns as well. Because again, sperm, going back to sperm. Sperm is blood, right? What pumps 70% of the blood? Your breath. Your breath patterns is imprinting on your blood. And the blood, what? Scrapes and touches all of your body, then imprints there. So we store trauma in so many different parts of our body. One breath session may not be enough to take out the trauma. That's why I promote lifestyle. Hey Devon, why don't you promote fast? Why do you talk about fasting? You've been on liquids for XYZ years. Why? Because it's a lifestyle. Why do I promote the breathing aspect of it way more? Because at the end of the day, someone could go fast or whatever and then go eat God knows what later. Did that really help? Did that really help? You're doing more damage more than ever. Because at the end of the day, it's not just the food you're addicted to, whatever you're smoking that may not be the best thing you're smoking, you're addicted to. You're addicted to the breathing patterns they induce. Even down to the people you hang out. You're addicted to the breathing pattern that they induce. You're addicted to the breathing patterns that make you feel a certain chemical way. Even if you want to go chemical based, etc., you're addicted to the breathing pattern. So when you're in harmony with your breathing pattern, you're what? You're then in harmony with your body. Then you'll naturally say, like, hey, I don't want this. It makes me dehydrated. I can feel it. Versus just someone just keeps on telling you, hey, you gotta eat this herb, you gotta do this herb, you gotta drink this thing, you gotta do that thing. At the end of the day, no one can feel for you. It's all about your feelings and your connection to your own body. Fast all you want, do this all you want, but if your breathing is not on point, if your mouth breathing while fasting, especially too. And all of a sudden, I'm not saying any names, alkaline name, whatever, and all of a sudden you see them drinking champagne and doing like this. I'm like, wait, man, I thought you were all about alkaline and all this and stuff, and I'm trying to put you on breath as a friend. It starts to make sense, right? And they never want to do the breathing with me or whatever. It starts to click in my head. I'm like, yeah, people can push diet all day long. People can push what, of course, of course, stay away from processed. I mean, that should be the most obvious stuff. Start to get in the habit of making your own stuff. That's one. That's also, the main thing I'm starting to notice with the testimonials I've been getting, the plasma projector and different ways of utilizing it and the information. People are naturally getting in the habit of making their own stuff, because what? It makes it more fun when you're blasting your own stuff and you know where it comes from, etc. Makes it more fun. When you make your own stuff, you know where it comes from, you know what type of energy is going into it. That's another thing. So all of these things play a factor. But in my humble opinion, how we deal on an emotional, mental basis, yes, fasting gives you that clarity, etc. But at the end of the day, some people may utilize it as an escape mechanism as well. That's why I don't push it. Because you can't escape one. You can't escape from your breath. That's the number one thing too. You can't escape from your breath, hence you can't escape from yourself. You can escape through food. You can escape through eating or quote unquote fasting or drinking, whatever. You can escape through that. But through all that, while you're doing all that, you're breathing anyway. That's the main home runner I want to imprint on your conscious to fully understand the full depth of what I'm saying. Because the habits that you have are highly connected to your breathing habits in general. Notice how you're breathing around energies or people, if you will, that talk in a degenerate way, that talk down at people. You feel it. You feel a certain way. Shoot, when I'm in front of that type of person, if my memory serves me right, I notice I'm like holding on to my breath. I'm like, oh snap. I really notice that. And that's a beautiful thing to understand and overstand, however you want to define it, is that the more you're in tune with your breath, the more you can utilize it and harmonize it. Forget utilization. Harmonize with your breath and honor it as a compass. And when you honor it as a compass, you then feel what's more hydrating. Who's more harmonious to breathe around? Who's easy to breathe around? Where you don't have to, hold on to your breath, right? All those factors matter. And this is the main consensus, if you will, of why I don't push fasting or whatever. I mean, I definitely hold space for it, but at the end of the day, when are you fasting the most? When you're resting, you're already fasting. That should be a conscious awareness everyone should have in general. And that will also aid you if you ever want to take a journey on fasting in general. So honor the fact that you do fast anyway. You fast when you're resting, when you're sleeping. All those times add up. They matter. Okay, that counts as a fast. A lot of people who talk about fasting don't consider that aspect as well, and they should. Because when you're sleeping or resting, however you want to define it, you are fasting. So when you're resting, keyword resting, there's a difference between sleep and rest. Sleep, if you want to call it that, You could be living in New York. Oh God, you could be living in New York on the side, right? On the side street, and you're hearing constant traffic, the trains, blah, blah, blah. You think you're getting the best rest at the end of the day? Because you're sleeping, you're in stillness, and you're taking on all that frequency emanating deep in your body in a certain degree. There's even studies out there that people who live close to the highway have less a mortality rate. There's actually, go look it up. Go look up these, this frequency aspect of looking at things. Yes, all of that matters. This is why I push the home scalers as well. This is why we push them as well, because you can run harmonious frequencies 24/7. Even though you can actually hear some of the frequencies coming out the scalar plate, but your body is just taking that in 24/7. And that is a conscious act that you put on. A lot of people think you're relying on a machinery. No, you're creating the environment, but it's also up to you to be also in that harmonious state of mind, hence the breathing. That's why I also put in the manual, there's the cardiac breathing. I'm going to also update more of scalar movement is in there. It's all in there for a reason. I'm not just, I don't want to be a person that's just selling you products. No, I want to help you in the aspect of lifestyle. Again, that's why I don't really push the fast stuff. It should be a lifestyle. Quality rest. Going back to that. Instead of blasting crazy lyrics to bed, when you're resting, blast something like subliminal breathwork music, where your subconscious is hearing beautiful, harmonious, parasympathetic breathing versus any type of mouth breathing. You don't want to play that. When you're resting, shoot, if I could run a clinical trial and show everyone how we can play mouth breathing, right? All the different types of breath work that induces mouth breathing, breath holding, all that stuff. While people are resting, I guarantee you will see an increase of sleep apnea in one group. And if I were to play subliminal alchemy breathwork music that only deals with nose, no breath holding, all that stuff, you'll see a decrease in sleep apnea. And going back to the lifestyle aspect, I always, whenever I talk about the subliminal breathwork tracks, I want you to play it anytime you're drinking, eating, play it in the background. Play it in the background. You could be watching whatever you're watching, but just play it in the background for 30 days straight and give me some feedback of how you feel every time you eat. All right, guys, I gotta go. It's calling me right now. So have a breathful day. If you found value in this, share it. And I pray that I see you October 22nd here in Miami, 10 minutes away from the airport. So if you're flying in, tap in with us. I'll also be at the Indigenous Peoples Day, ex-Columbus Day, not Columbus Day. I'll be over there. I'll also put the link in my story, or DM me if you're around and you want to join in for that as well here in Miami. I think it's free. Yeah, I think it's free. And I'll also be at this Halloween thing as well, where I'll have a sneak peek, if you will, of what I'm going to bring to October 22nd. Because every session that we have, every elemental symphony that we have is totally different. And I love that element as well. It brings a powerful imprint to your psyche, and it makes it fun. That's another thing. If you're not having fun, quote unquote, healing, what's the point? Is it gonna truly last? That's why I don't push, hey, do this protocol, do this fasting protocol, do that fasting protocol. I mainly push breath, because breath resides in every dimension of what you're doing anyway, in terms of health. I can give a 20-person testimonial recall and tell you the people who didn't tell me they were eating the nastiest junk food with chemicals, etc. Within 2 weeks of working with them, every single one of them came up to me clean, like, hey, I didn't tell you this, but I was eating McDonald's, I was eating Burger King, I was eating Popeyes, I was eating all that stuff. But naturally, man, I just wanted to get more hydration in my body. I started juicing more. Naturally came like, yeah, that's the point. Because when you're breathing in a more parasympathetic way, what do you start noticing? You're salivating more. That's one. Hence, you're more hydrated because the air that you're breathing in is more humidified. One, more oxygen to the brain. Boom, that is a key for hydration in general. And there's your also connection to inhaling the plasma projector. That's also one of the benefits in terms of that, because when you're inhaling the plasma, you're increasing the ion feedback and also the ionization of the air, etc. And it's plasma. And you're also strengthening. I love blasting my nose specifically. We're strengthening uh, the communication that goes from your breath to the whole rest of your body. All right, guys, I gotta get out of here. But thank you for sharing the breath. Again, if you found value in this, share it.